What they wrote on in those days were the skins, dried animal skins. This is known as parchment today. This is one of the most common things which were used for writing materials in most parts of the world. They also wrote on flat stones. They wrote on tree bark, wood, and even the shoulder blades of sheep and camel, which have a surface, a wide surface. They use this for writing. So naturally, the Quran during the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ, it was recorded, but on many different pieces of material. It was not in one complete text to say, when the Prophet ﷺ died, here we have the text of the Quran. No. It was memorized in its totality. However, it was not written all up as one text. But what was revealed was recorded on a variety of different materials. Now, after the time of the Prophet, when he died in 632, the Caliph, Abu Bakr, who was his closest companion, Abu Bakr, he took over for 2 years, 632 to 634. Now, during this period, there was a revolt in Arabia. During the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, Islam spread over all of Arabia. Muslim governors were over Yemen, over this area, Bahrain, all over Arabia. Islam had spread there. But Islam had not reached all of the people in the sense that all the people became Muslims. But it was ruling Arabia at the time. However, when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ died, there were some people who had submitted to the spread of Islam militarily. They submitted and said, okay, we accept, Islam because it was stronger, as a stronger society, stronger force. So they submitted and they became Muslims, accepted Islam. But when they paid tax, what they paid of zakat, we have this principle of zakah. Every Muslim is required to give 2.5% of his accumulated wealth to the poor. This zakah, which was required of all Muslims, they were paying that thinking that they were paying it as tribute to Muhammad. Like when kings conquer a land, the conquered peoples pay tribute to the conquerors. So they were looking at zakah as tribute, whereas it wasn't. So after the Prophet died, they decided that they don't want to pay it anymore. So we don't want to pay zakah anymore. Finish. Prophet Muhammad is dead, no need to pay it anymore. Okay. Now, there was also another group which formed behind the false prophet known as Musaylama, from the tribe called Hanifa, from Najd, which is close to this area. This is of the eastern region of Arabia. A prophet arose there. One individual, he claimed he was a prophet. Actually, during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, he had offered him a deal that they would split Arabia between them. He would rule in one part, and the Prophet rejected this, and identified him as a false prophet. There was also a false prophetess by the name of Sajah from the Tamim tribe, and she joined up with Musaylama. So we had false prophets in eastern Arabia. Sajah, female prophet from the Tamim tribe, and Musaylama from the tribe known as the Hanifa tribe. And there was also in the southern part of Arabia in the area called Najran, who's one other prophet whose name was Al-Aswad. He is from the tribe of Ans, which is in Najran, in southwestern Arabia. So these were the false prophets and prophetess, and we also had those who rejected to pay zakah or charity, compulsory charity. Now these represented a force now which threatened the center of Islam, Mecca and Medina. They came militarily wanting to impose either their false teachings, the prophets, or impose their right to reject the payment of zakah. So Muslims under the leadership of Abu Bakr, who is known as the first caliph, the first caliph, Abu Bakr, he led Muslims in a struggle against these groups. Now during the course of this struggle, within the first year of this struggle, another companion of the Prophet, whose name was Umar ibn al-Khattab, he came to Abu Bakr and made a suggestion to him. The suggestion was that the Quran should be written together in one text to avoid the possibility of it being lost. Why? Because he noticed that many of the people who were involved in the wars against these individuals, right, who were being killed, who were on the front lines of the battles being killed, many of them were those who had memorized large portions of the Quran. So for fear that the Quran may be lost, he suggested to Abu Bakr that he start the process, have somebody responsible for recording the Quran as one text. Now, why so many of those who had memorized Quran were being killed? Why? Because they had absorbed the message of the Quran, God's revelation to man. And this had given them the courage and the commitment to go to the front lines to die for the sake of Islam. This is why they were in the forefront. The more a person learned of the Quran in those days, the more it motivated them to sacrifice, to commit and submit themselves totally to God. So the Quran had that effect on them, and as a result, they were in the front lines of the battles. Many of them were being killed. So when Omar suggested this to Abu Bakr, Abu Bakr's first reaction was no. He didn't want to do it. Why? Because Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, had not done it.